morning, viewers, and today we're outside the House of Parliament of Westminster to talk about free will. Behind me, there again, you'll see the place where most laws are made. Now, I'm going to be asking the question, do we do things because we're made to do them, because we're fundamentally programmed to do them, or because we want to do them? So, without further ado, we shall continue. This here is Westminster Abbey, home of the Church in England. The Church is a strong believer in the fact that we have free will to go off and do horrible things whenever we please, even if we will be bad to a crisp if we do. But is that really free will if we're only behaving because we're afraid that we might be incinerated for all eternity? And can we trust ourselves with this almighty responsibility to do whatever we want? I don't think so. I think there needs to be regulations in place, and I think there are. But that means we don't necessarily, in the strictest sense, have free will. This here is the UK Supreme Court, the home of justice in the four kingdoms, UK, England, Ireland, Scotland. And this is the place where you're locked up if you do things of your own accord that other people dislike very strongly, such as murder, fraud, terrorism, anything along those lines. Now, whilst we may have free will to commit those actions whenever we like, do we necessarily have free will if we're going to be locked up? And the only reason we're not doing this is because of the fear of incarceration if we do so. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm sure we can ponder this at a later date. My thinking face. This here, in this dingy back street, is the home of the National Crime Agency, which shows that people, regardless of the fact that they face incarceration for their actions, still commit crimes. Seeing that they do this, we clearly have free will. Well, to an extent, as we will later see. Thinking face was most effective. And that extent to which I was talking about is neuroscience, a concept called Laplace's demon, to be precise. Demon face. Laplace's demon is the concept that if you could look at every single part of your brain, every single tiny molecule, all the little bits, and knew exactly what they were going to do next, you could predict what the human is going to do. Thus, we have no free will. Every action is deterministic, which is a complex way of saying it's already been planned, we know what's going to happen. In fact, I should have probably just said we know what's going to happen. Still, in fact, as a hobby neuroscientist, I can tell you that there's certain parts of the brain that code for certain different functions, and deficits in this can cause you to be all sort of... We might not really have free will, because all our actions have been planned out by neural networks that only fire because other neural networks are fired, and so on until you get lost in a huge tangled mess of probability and things. So, we have Parliament down there which says we have free will and it'll lock us up if we use it to do things we don't like. We have the Church, Westminster, which says we have free will and we'll go to hell if we do things that it doesn't like. And neuroscience, which says we don't have free will, but we can still use it to do whatever we want, which is confusing. I go with Laplace on this, and now, because I'm feeling hungry, I'm going to respond to a neurological circuit in my brain that's telling me to go and get the Chinese down in Tutu. So, let's go. Free will is basically like herpes. It doesn't matter if we don't have it, because we're unlikely to do anything stupid, because we think we do. If that makes sense. A bit. Not much, but it's worth it for the laugh. So, we don't have free will, but it doesn't really matter at all. Nobody cares. Yeah, that's about it. Have a good day. Well, it's been a most interesting day. See you next week.